like all the NFL,
They do like the Chuck Taylors and stuff.
they do all kinds, the casual, like tennis shoes.
Yeah, except for those tennis shoes are like $800.
So wait, there's a, I was in
Casual.
Nordstrom's.
And there's a little pair of Arabella and Prada tennis shoes.
I wanted a whole
I
thing.
was in
Right
Nordstrom's
when I walked in,
and
he
they
said,
their
I
sneakers
like
on
that.
platform, and they were selling McCartney's at $8.50.
I did that with
There's
my
lots of crap, no, I'm just kidding.
And that was a low end of her line.
I guess feeling
Great.
All right.
focused,
Yes,
Oh, yeah, right.
focused.
oh, yes.
Stimulus checks come out today. Ooh. They don't, yeah, no, they just push them through.
$600.
Yeah, they beat the $2,000.
They
You know, my dad was talking about that yesterday, and I'm all about free money. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Something energetically, though, just doesn't feel right when it's like, what do you want to do? Just let's give everyone $1,000. It's
Right.
like everyone's on Oprah. It's got to be.
Oh, you know that was done.
All right, there's a whole bunch. I got a whole bunch of stuff now.
Like if they could do it now, like how often can they do
Yeah,
it?
can I get twice as much? All right, clear the mind, clear the thought, focus. Last meeting of 2020, the great year 2020. I mean, that seemed great at the moment, but in a future present moment, if you look back, it won't be present, so shut up, Andrew. Last meeting, 2020. And it's important, all right? There's some important things I want to talk about. I want to get jammed into our brain today as the groundwork, as a foundation. And in order to do that, we're going to watch about 5 minutes of a video on a couple things here in a moment, because it adds value. It says some things in a different way from somebody who I've always looked up to communication-wise, Zig Ziglar. I think he's the greatest that ever lived. He basically invented motivational speaking. I don't use air quotations correctly. Or sales training, motivational speaking, whatever you want to call it. But really, it's about love. Everything he talks about. It's about how to be the best version of you. And he inspired me. I've read every book he's had. I've watched every video he's ever made. If I had been a little bit younger, because he's an old timer, I would have gone to his things. He just has a way. And my way of communicating things sometimes over and over and over may get lost. So to hear it a little bit different, it's important, because the things we're going to talk about are things we got to have going into next year. Things we got to have. Okay? And for the most part, we have had them in little spurts here and there, over here. We got to start putting it all together now. Stuff's going to start moving quick as a biz. And it's only going to move as quick as your guys' focus is moving into this new year and what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. So let's talk expectations. Guys, my expectation is always this, but new year, big plans. We come to work every day ready to go. Ready to go. If you're walking into the meeting and you haven't even thought about anything, or you might, if you're coming to work, driving and thinking about what you have to do after work, what you got to do, and then you come in, you're not prepared, you're not ready to go. Every basketball team I coached knew, and this doesn't necessarily apply to us, but the energy of it does. If you weren't 15 minutes early, you were late. And the reason that I made that a rule was because when we got in the gym, they had to have toes on the baseline until I got in the gym. So for 15 minutes, they stood on the baseline with each other. 10 minutes because I get in there too. And they would have to look at the court, look at each other. It forced them to get in the mindset of, we got work to do. This is where we prepare to win. These meetings are a little bit like that too for us in different ways. They help us prepare to win. How prepared are you? I look at this as a responsibility to you guys, these meetings and the stuff that we go over. I don't come up with what we're going to talk about on the way into work. I have a process. Some is more ad-lib than others, but there's always a generalized topic outlined the day before. I'm always in the door by 7 o'clock, and then I'm building off that outline with whatever has come since then. Because I feel responsible to you guys to not just go through the motions, to not just show up and spout something, to try and have something that has impact. And if I don't do that, I let you down. I just spit. I don't want to let you down, especially not Nelson. The rest of you also don't want to let you down, but not as much as Nelson. So we got to put it all together. Part of that is showing up. And I don't just mean attendance. Showing up is something that has power anywhere you go, anytime, ever. When I first started realizing the power of showing up, my life started to change because a lot of things that I didn't want to really do, and in the past I just say, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go to that meditation over there. I don't feel like going to the store. I'll go to mom's and help her with the thing tomorrow. I stopped saying, no, I'm going to show up. It was literal at first. But then I started to realize in the act of showing up, life happens. I'm driving and I see a sign that makes me think a thought that leads me down a path to something that is like, whoa! I wouldn't have seen the sign if I had decided to show up, and I wasn't even to where I was going. Or any variation of that. Does that make sense? Are you with me? Showing up is here, it's here, and then it's here. What are the two biggest, and to me, this is opinion, the two biggest, most important abilities that any of us have? No, that's important, but wrong answer. Hey, we got somebody who is observing their surroundings. Guys, I don't walk in a room without taking a look around, without observing. So the answer to that question is on the board. Mike saw it. The two most important abilities that we have are accountability and reliability. How reliable are you? Not to me, not to the biz. How reliable are you to you? And how accountable are you to yourself? 2021 is going to be a year in the business of accountability. I'm having conversations with a guy in Utah and telling him, hold me accountable. I have nobody coming and saying, where are the numbers? Why aren't they good? Why are they worse than last week? What happened? What's going on? I want to be held accountable too. I try to hold myself accountable. But just like everything else we do together, it's easier to be held accountable. The easiest person to let slip is yourself because you don't think anybody knows. I'll do that tomorrow. That's not being accountable. That's not being reliable. The two most important abilities, reliability, accountability. Remember that there will be a test. Now, before we go into this video real quick, agency block. Okay. Angela actually are doing some real good things with organizing biz, staying on top of some stuff, trying to reach out. We're trying to give them some more resources. But guys, at the end of the day, it's your biz. It's your money. How reliable and accountable are you being in the present moment when you're entering things into agency block? Are you entering them in, holding the perspective of not just what you're doing in that moment, but all future possible things that could happen regarding this lead to set yourself up to be prepared to handle it correctly? Or do you tell yourself you're going to go do that after this, and then you forget, and then a thing doesn't happen? Or even worse, a thing does happen that's adverse, and we're not in front of it. That's why agency block exists. Take the moments to do it now. We take those moments to do it now, we're setting our future self up for success and ease. When we don't do that, we're not just letting ourselves down, we're letting other people down that may have to clean something up or go make a whole bunch of phone calls to try and figure a thing out because they didn't know what they didn't know because way over here in the very beginning, we didn't make a note. That could be useful. It doesn't take a lot of time. What it does take is creating the habit of doing it. If we had, like, for example, Nelson Rodriguez has been selling Final Expense since phones were plugged into the wall and they had a sheet of paper. It's not that old, but you get it. He's been doing it longer than anybody in this room, and he's one of the youngest. So his habits, when he first came in, and we're talking about process, we're talking about mod 4. Nelson's like, come on, man, it's so fine. What's earlier? We got to do this whole emotional thing with these guys. Over time, he saw value in it. He worked it in, even though it wasn't his habit. And then he was like, okay, now it's like this. Same thing with notes. If we're used to doing it a certain way every time, and now we're realizing that maybe that way doesn't serve us the best all the time, the first week of doing it a little different or making yourself remember to do it a little bit different, it's going to feel like it takes an effort. But after that, it's going to be easy. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Guys, the bigger we get, the more vital this becomes. And everyone that comes after us, we got to be a rock, man. We're trying to build something. We're not trying to build it on sand. So this is the stuff that makes us concrete, makes us a rock, not just for ourselves and our money, but for everyone that comes after, and the future moments that don't get created by not creating good habits. Because let's say, for example, I'm a real negative prick, and Claire doesn't do something that she was supposed to do. And now I got a phone call from somebody who's upset about a thing that Claire said she would do. Now I'm pissed off because I've got to handle it and take time out of my day. And I'm saying, what the shit, Claire? And then the day goes on from there with this new energy that was put in place that we never even thought about could be a potential thing when we didn't do it now. Yes?
Yes.
Question here, yeses. All right. On those topics. This is only about 5 minutes. I want you guys focused on this. The guy that's speaking is very, very brilliant. And his words are very, very poignant. He's going to talk about do it now, which we've talked about. He's just going to do it better. He's going to talk about preparation, which we talk about, but he's going to do it better. And then he's going to talk about not quitting. Not necessarily in that order, I can't remember. But 3 really important things that go into, what we need to talk about today. I forgot that I wrote that. Yeah, you with me?
Mm-hmm.
Attention spans are still there, haven't lost you?
You got it.
Boy, during the Depression, we lived next door to some rich folks. I knew they were rich for 2 reasons. Number 1, they had a cook. Number 2, the cook had something to cook. And during the Depression, that was a sure sign of wealth. I was over there for lunch one day, as I tried to be every day. And don't misunderstand that. Even though there was a Depression on, we certainly had plenty to eat at my house. I know we had plenty because if they ever passed my place for seconds, they'd always tell me, no, you've had plenty. So I know we had plenty. Now the cook brought the biscuits out, and this is not an exaggeration. Those biscuits were not as thick as my wrist was. And I looked at her for a moment, I said, Maud, what in the world happened to your biscuits? She reared back, gave a big old tummy laugh, and said, well, I'll tell you about those biscuits. She said they squatted to rise. But she said they just got cooked in the squat. You know anybody that gets cooked in the squat? You know anybody who's going to do something just as soon as, or they're half a mind to do such and such thing? Never have anybody say, well, you know, wait till the kids get out of school and then I'll really get involved in this project. We got so many things going on right now. Wait till they're out of school. Wait till summertime comes and then I'll really get busy. The kids get out of school, you know what they say then? Well, you know, I didn't realize we had to take the kids somewhere every day. I had more time when they were in school. Wait till they get back in school and then I'll really get busy. Kids get back into, you know what they say then? Well, you know, for the first time in 19 years, dear old Central High finally got a winning football team, and you got to support the kids there. Wait after the football season is over, then I'll really get busy. Football season, then, you know what they say then? Well, here it is Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and people don't want to be bothered with this sort of thing this time of year. Wait after the first of the year, man, then I'll really get busy. After the first of the year, you know what they say? Well, it's the weather. Did you ever see weather like this in Chicago or San Francisco or Dallas or wherever? Wait till the weather settles down and then I'll really get busy. Oh, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I've lost interest in it, but that's not the way I do things. Let me tell you the way I do things. Now, here's the way I am. This is the way I do it. See, the way I I do things is I get everything organized. I get it lined up. I have everything in just such and such order. And then, man, once I get it all put together, that's when I really get after it. I mean, that's just the way I've always been that way. Do things that way. I know some of these other folks are hitting me right now, but you just wait. I'll catch them. But this weather is just so horrible. Lately it clears up. And the weather clears up, you know what to say then? Well, here it is. It's Easter time. And Easter time, you know, that's a family time. And we always spend a lot of time together. And you said so yourself, the family is extremely important to you. You do the work for the family, and if you can't spend some time with them, you might as well not do all the work. I mean, wait after Easter's over, then I'll really get busy. And then after Easter, you know what they say? At long last, we've got some beautiful weather. And I haven't hit a golf ball or wet a hook and I don't know when. Man, I gotta have some R&R. I gotta have some rest and relaxation. And you know, you said you can't work all the time. I mean, an individual needs some time with themselves. Wait till I relax a little bit and man, then I'll really get after it. And finally they get after it a little bit, you know, or when they have the fun and relaxation, then they say, well, it's almost time for the kids to get out of school. And that's where we came in. As we say down home, folks, you can put this in your pipe and smoke it because it's the truth. The people who wait for Aunt Matilda to move out, or John to get on the day shift, or the new models to come out, or the new mayor to come in, or for the new advertising campaign to get started. The people who wait on the new senator in Washington, or until inflation slows or the rate of interest comes down. The people who wait for changes to take place out there before they do the changing in here are flat gonna end up getting cooked in the squat. Woo! The rule is simple. You do it now. You do it now. How many of you feel like I've made this talk before? Can I see your hand, please? Several hundred times. I made it yesterday. You know what I did between yesterday and today? I spent over 6 hours getting ready for the day. You see, I think it would be arrogant if I thought I could stand up and spit it out just because I did it yesterday or hundreds of times. That's arrogance. That's when Buster Douglas knocks out Mike Tyson.
Arrogant to think I can do it today just because I've done it 1,000 times before. What does that mean to you?
That's when an expansion team in Houston beats an established NFL team in Dallas. I dare not. Look at the people here, several thousand. I'm taking over an hour. That's several thousand hours of time. Where would my integrity be if I came here unprepared to make something, a presentation that could make a difference in your life? There is no way. You gotta prepare for it, ladies and gentlemen. Almost did not go to the most important
One more thing and we'll be done.
ever have missed. That's that morning I awakened. I'd been up there in Charlotte all day long.
By the way, what he's talking about right there is he was a salesman, and people tell him that he's the greatest salesman in the world. He can sell anything. He says bullshit. That's the definition of a con man. Someone with integrity can communicate and help people by persuading them. But he wasn't always good. He was on a sales team of 5,000 people as a young guy, and he'd been on the sales team for 2 years. And he was in the second half. He's always in the lower 50% every year. And he knew the sale. And one day at a meeting, the guy that was giving the meeting said to him, I believe in you. And I think that you could be the best in the company. I know you can. And I'm going to help you. The next year he was number 2 in the company and he didn't learn anything new about sales. Somebody helped him be accountable. Yes?
It was in the best interest of the person he was selling to. Of all the qualities a good salesperson must have, number 1 is integrity. Integrity-driven salesperson will only sell a product that will enable him to sell them again and again and again. A product he would sell to his mother, in other words. That's the kind of salesperson who has long-term balanced success.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people stand in front of the stove with life and they say, now stove, give me some heat, then I'll put some wood in you.
Give me some heat,
That ain't
then I'll
the
put
way
some
it works. You gotta put something in before you can get anything out. So many times, you know, the employee goes to the employer and says, give me a raise, and I'll start coming to work on time. Or so many times, they will come to him and say, make me the boss. Now, I know I haven't been here very long, don't really deserve to be long, but I just function better when I am in charge of the thing. You reward me now, and then I promise you, I'll learn what this business is all about later on. Reward me now, and I'll produce later. It doesn't work that way. Can't you just see a youngster in school say, teacher, if I take a failing grade home, my parents are going to skip me alive. Pass me on this quarter, and next time I'll study more than anybody else. Reward me now, I'll produce later. It doesn't work that way. Can't you just see an old farmer standing out in the fields in October and saying, Lord, I know I didn't plant a thing this year, but if you give me a big crop this year, I'll plant more than anybody next year. It ain't that way, folks. You gotta put something in before you can expect to get anything out. Well, it's just a pumping away. That's hard. It's August. I mean, the question is just how much pumping are you going to do for a drink of water? And finally, old Bernard said, Tim, I don't believe it's in the water down there. Jim said, yeah, it is, Bernard. In South Alabama, the wells are deep, and we're glad they're deep because the deeper the well, the cooler, the cleaner, the sweeter, the purer, the better tasting the water. And isn't that true of life? Isn't it true that if you could become an MD by 6 weeks of summer school, that the rewards would be almost minimal or nothing, and how many cases would you have? Isn't it true that if you become a sales expert in 3 days of a training school, that the rate of pay would go down rather radically? Isn't it true that anything worth doing is worth doing poorly? Until you can learn to do it well. We'll never know how many kids have missed a college scholarship because they didn't study an average of 10 more minutes a day. We will never know how we come so close to promotion, but we grew discouraged and quit too soon. We'll never know how much more success we would have had we just had a little more pumping in there, and pump and pump and pump and pump. Well, finally, old Bernard just got disgusted. He rubbed his hand and said, Jimmy, there's just no water down there. Jimmy said, don't stop, Bernard. Don't stop. If you stop it, water's going to go all the way back down, and then you're going to have to start all over. The reality is, folks, and I'm totally convinced of this, this is the story of America. This is your story. This is the story of success. This is the story of life. I believe with all of my heart that if you will pump long enough and hard enough and enthusiastically enough, that eventually the reward is going to follow the effort. And then once that water starts to flow, all you got to do is just keep a little easy, steady pressure on it, and you're going to get more water than you can possibly use. The basic problem is this. So many times people get involved in something and then say, well, I'll give it a try, and if it works out, that'll be good, and if it doesn't work out, I mean, hey, I ain't gonna kill myself. You know what I mean, fella? Well, I gotta tell you something, folks. You're gonna pump forever like that before anything happens. When you get into something, grab that sucker and dig with it. And then once the water starts to flow, then, ladies and gentlemen, that's what Strategies for Success is all about.
Thank you guys so much for.
So, what the hell was that all about? It was good stuff, right? Everyone probably got different stuff from different points of that. Do it now. It's not just here. It's everywhere, right? How many can relate? I can relate to, yeah, as soon as this is over, I got my kids this week. When I don't have my kids, I'll go do it. As soon as everyone does it, it's okay. The awareness of it and how it doesn't serve us is the thing that we got to think about. Because every time we bring that awareness to it, without judgment of ourselves, we increase the likelihood that in the next moment, we'll do it now. It's going to add value to you. It's going to help you make more money. Everybody here, when I ask if we're here to make money, raises their hand. This is going to help you make more money. It's something that I shouldn't have to even be passionate about, even though I am, because it's human nature. Being prepared. How prepared are we? Not quitting, not giving up. So many cliches, right? Always darkest just before the dawn, right? It's so true. How many jobs, maybe not people in here, but I've been around a lot of different places and a lot of different people, and it's why you guys have probably heard me say, if you don't do the work, if you don't persevere, if you are willing to not quit here, you will be successful and make money. But if you're not, you will be in another place that is like here, thinking the same things. Who watched the video I sent for homework? That lady came up to him and said, what? I hate everything about that place. I hate that person. I hate that person. I hate that person. This isn't good. That's not good. That person, this, that, this. And what did Zig say? I believe they're going to fire you. Fire me? And the inflection in her voice said, fire me? I'm not they're all the problem. That's the kind of person who's going to have 15 different jobs. They're all going to end kind of the same way. And it's never going to be them. It's always a this or that or thing. Be accountable. Rely on yourself. It's not very often that we get opportunities like this one. Not just to sell final expense, but this isn't the norm. The next place, if you don't do, you will be thinking the same things, only there will be an absence of this. The last place, it was really, we got together and cared about each other. There's a lot of motivation. We tried to really work hard. This place doesn't have any of that. Oh shit, why are you at the last place? Yes? We need each other to hold each other accountable, to help each other be the best versions of ourselves. Because in that moment, we make the most money, we have fun, the days go by quick, man, we're smiling, everything's coming up with roses, and we feel good. There's a lot of power simply in feeling good. Do things that make yourself feel good. All the other shit I'm talking about is easier after that. Yes? Let's finish 2020 today pumping the well so loud that the water's got to come. That makes sense? Last thing, for real. Isn't it hilarious how Zig Ziglar communicates? When I'm fascinated by somebody that I believe has greatness pouring out of their face like Zig Ziglar, I get real interested in all aspects, the psychology of the why do they think, their mannerisms, where their eyes go, how they go, why they go. And one of the great things I learned from Zig, by studying him actually, he never actually talks about it, is attention spans. Our attention span as an adult, about 10 minutes tops. So we've been in here for about 30 minutes. I'm aware that that's the case. So is he, which is why he uses tonality, voice inflection, and enthusiasm to keep their attention. He may be talking, he's over there rubbing on the thing, and if you weren't paying attention, now you are paying attention. Yes? Remember that. I'm not saying yell at any of your customers, but remember, they're on the phone, they may have a kid over here, then they got a dog over there, they got the mailman over there, maybe they got the biscuits squatting in the cook, I don't even know what it means, but I get the context, and you got to keep them here, right? Use that inflection, pacing. Sometimes, Nelson taught me this one, sometimes not talking for a second is the most powerful thing you can say. Remember all of this. It's not about you. It's not about you. Somebody has told me that so much about myself that eventually, I don't know, I'm still think it might kind of be about me. Guys, I love you. We learned a lot this year. We learned it so that we can do what we're going to do next year. And it's going to be fun. We're going to work hard. We're going to make money. And we're going to walk around like we got an S on our chest. All right? Let's go. You got greatness in your heart, man? Let it out. Ocho came up with that saying. Thank you, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny, I like it.
It's going to be a good day.
You went red today.
We did.
Sharp, handsome gentleman.
Best day of the week. Like Tiger Woods on Sunday.
Tiger Woods,
Oh
y'all.
my God, did you see the sound?
Yeah.
I'm going to do the other piece Monday. This went way too long.
Yeah.
And I may want to do it on